Hello, everybody. Hi, parents. Jyotsna, Janine, and of course, everybody else is from Tala. Hey, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
This is not for YouTube. Hello. Hi, Janine. It'd be nice to
Hi,
see you.
Kevin. Good morning.
Unless you haven't had your beauty sleep. Hello. Okay, I just want to brief you guys. Probably my team will also keep telling you. We're going to go live also. We're just facing some challenges here. I'm sure we'll overcome that. The whole point of this is that you guys have an exclusive, streaming where you can actually ask me questions and give me some sort of, anything that you may have. Yep. Put that out there. One second. Okay. Very good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. For those of you who are joining us,
especially in the Google Meets, and I think a lot of people may be watching this now, and you may watch this a little later. I'm so happy to be presenting our first live stream because we've been having a lot of parents ask us questions about when to start, how to start, what to do. Is 3 too young? Can we have vocals or instruments? Should we start ABRSM? know, but I believe in Carnatic music and all of that. But I think before we go, for those that are on YouTube, I hope you can hear me, see me. If there's anybody, is there anybody at all? If you are, go ahead and let me know on the comments. Andrew, if you can check out if we are all live. I think we had. I think we're all. Let me know if you can see me, hear me, and then we're going to jump straight in. All right. So today we're going to talk about raising musical children, all the way from babies up to teenagehood. If we can go ahead and make sure you have your pen and paper handy, that will be really, really awesome, and you can make some good notes. All right. So the big question, whenever I have my PTMs, whenever I have some sort of meeting with any parent, the biggest questions are, when should I start music? Are vocals the right way to do, or should I be learning some sort of an instrument? Do we do Carnatic or Western? And you must hear some cliche statements like, no, music grades are the right way to start music. Or you may say, no, we have to start with piano because that's the mother of all instruments. So usually all these questions arise because there's a lack of awareness. And what I want to tell us today is there is a golden window. We have a golden window to do a lot of intervention very early on. If we learn that this is a very important stage in life, we can capitalize on teaching children the right way. So for those of you who probably don't know me and who are probably live on the live stream, my name is Kevin. I've been a music educator for 21 years. And I've been into education. I've taught in international schools. I've been teaching in Indian schools. I run my own music school. And more importantly, I have 3 children of my own, all below the age of 6. And so I understand the frustration, the confusion, and the chaos about raising musical children. All right. So thank you for joining us today. And in this session today, here's what I would love for you all to, take away. So by the end, I will give you a step-by-step instruction of how you can go ahead from babies all the way to teenagehood. What do you do? When do you do? How to do it? And all these things in a very step-by-step process. Just give me one moment, please. We're having some technical problems. Sorry about that, guys. Technical glitches. We're going to jump right straight into it. So by the end of this video, you'll know what to do, when to do, how to do, and how to introduce music to your children from babies to teens. So if you're here already, you already are aware that music plays a very big role in the building of children, their confidence, building an identity, and just making them better people. And more importantly, as a young father and parents, we want our children to be really, really confident, right? So I'm going to break this down into most situations that parents are finding themselves in. You might call your a music school that you found on Google, and then you might hear this kind of conversation. Hey, I want to put my child in music class. And then you will hear them say, yeah, sure, what do you want? You say guitar. And then you say, my child is 4. And then you say, hey, no, they are too young to learn. Why don't we do this when they are ready? That's situation number 1. Situation number 2, Your
Your
child is
child is
all
all
excited.
excited.
You put
You
them
put
in a
them in a
class,
class,
but
but
suddenly,
suddenly,
after
after
about
about
a
a
few
few
weeks,
weeks,
they
they
lose
lose
interest.
interest.
They
They
hate the
hate the
class.
class.
They
They
want to
want to
quit.
quit.
They're
They're
making
making
excuses to
excuses to
go, and
go,
they
and they
feel
feel
really
really
frustrated.
frustrated.
You
You
think
think
maybe
maybe
I
I
don't
don't
think this
think
is
this is
their
their
thing. They're
thing.
not
They're not
musical,
musical,
and they
and they
want to
want to
go
go
ahead
ahead
and
and
probably
probably
discontinue them.
discontinue
Or
them,
you
or
just
you
say,
just
you know
say, you
what,
know
I
what,
don't
I
think
don't
this is
think
the
this is
right
the right
school or the
school or the
right
right
teacher.
teacher.
The
The
third
third
situation
situation
is
is
when
when
there is
there
a
is a
delay
delay
in
in
starting
starting
music.
music.
Now,
Now,
I
I
call
call
this
this
analysis
analysis
paralysis.
paralysis.
We
We
miss the
miss the
golden
golden
window
window
thinking, no, no,
thinking,
no, I don't think now, I don't think later, maybe we should do Western, but no, but we should do Carnatic. I think
I
that's
think
the
that's the
right
right
possible way
possible
to
way to
start.
start.
So there
So
are
there are
many misconceptions that help, or rather don't help us, and we miss out on this golden window. So what do we really want for our kids? We want them to play an instrument so they can go on stage and be really confident. They learn how to work with another bunch of kids and play in a band. We want them to be confident, creative, just comfortable in their own skin. That's our biggest dream, right? As parents, that's what we really want for our children. But how do we go about this? And what are, I told you about the three situations that mostly these parents, and you probably are already in this stage, or you're a young parent, or you're expecting another child. You say, hey, I messed up with the first one, but what do I do for my next one? So I want you to take away saying, I don't want to do these same things, and I want to fix the issue and start the right way and go about it in a way that children will really love, thrive, and run to a music class and not away from it, all right? Now, for this to happen, I'm going to break this down into how from 0 to say about 13, how is childhood divided? Number one, what are the 4 important ways that children should learn? And based on how they grow and learn, there are certain styles, focuses, and what is the end result at each stage? What could be the desired result? As I'm sure when you were a young mom who probably in your first trimester and second trimester, you must have scrolled on your phone and you would have said, okay, the milestone at the first 3 months, my little baby is in the size of a plum, or you might go and say, my baby is almost, the fingers are developed. Likewise, that same milestones continue after birth as well. And what we need to do is understand how this is broken down. So if you go ahead and look at the stages of childhood, what I want you to do is just, these are notes, you'll probably get a little presentation right on your screen right now. It all starts with infants, that's the first stage. And the second stage is toddlers. I'm just scribbling, all right? So you guys can look at the phone or rather the screen and follow. The third stage is early childhood, and the next stage is middle childhood, and the last stage that we're talking about, you can say teens or adolescence. Okay, it's on your screen, you can figure it out. So these are the 4 different stages, and what we're going to talk about is generally these 5 stages. There are specific break down each stage for you in a way that you will understand these are the milestones, this is the way we can go about doing certain things. So children learn in, or rather grow in 4 different ways. The most obvious way is the physical way. I mean, the physical outside what we could see of a child. The second one is the cognitive ability, the mental ability of a child. The other two less spoken of are the social and emotional learning of a child. So those are the 4 areas. Now on your screen you will find 4 different areas coming up right now. Now we'll come back to these 4 stages of childhood, but how do children learn? Right now on your screen you should get that. The 4 different areas that children grow. One, for the sake of it flowing off my tongue, social. Second would be emotional. The third would be what we can see, or rather, let's go cognitive. And the fourth one would be now physical. Now, all children are growing at different rates. You must have heard somebody saying, hey, that person has very good IQ. That means their cognitive abilities are very high. If somebody says they've got a good EQ, that means their emotional quotient is really high. So likewise, different areas, children, like for example, some children don't know to regulate themselves because they're too young to be able to emotionally understand what's happening. Socially, it's all about languages, how to talk, what to say, how to control themselves, how to trust another person. So these are the more emotional aspects of where a child is growing. So what we're going to do, we already spoke about 5 stages of childhood. Now each of those 5 stages, I'm going to link it into social, emotional, cognitive and physical ways of learning and growing. In addition to that, now once we understand this, then we will know what is going to happen at what stage. For example, we understand that babies, obviously, like I was telling just yesterday, you're not going to give a little glass cup into a child's hand, right? Because you know the child is going to drop it because their fingers are not ready. For example, you are not going to go ahead and give something really expensive like a big guitar or a very expensive piano because you know children are going to spoil it, or there's something that's going to happen when it comes to, they're going to basically spoil it, right? Because you know, without understanding the technical terms, the scientific terms, that their fingers are not ready to hold something. But yet, when we jump the gun and put them in a piano class or a guitar class, is the worst thing that we could do because they may get it mentally, but it doesn't go down physically. They're not able to reproduce what they've understood mentally. So what we're going to do now is just take one more step. We're going to jump in straight and understand what are the stages a baby has. Now, most of you all know this very well, what a baby has and goes through. What you see on the screen is just a blank one. As I call and say things out, I'd like you to go ahead and make a note of these stages that children go through. I'm just going to go ahead and put it down on my screen so you understand what children go through at each stage. Now, for little children, young babies, large movements. They probably can move just their hands, they are learning just to turn, and that's their physical abilities. Maybe they can't even clap their hands, they can't even grasp certain things, right? So socially, emotionally, they are using just depending on their parent for bonding and love. Now, cognitively, their attention is too short. They don't even know an object is in front of them. That's why peekaboo is a big game for children. Now, what kind of instruments could you do for them? Probably hold a little rattle, probably a little bit of a, like an instrument like a tambourine. And what would be the focus? Emotional comfort through sound. Now, you may be a mum, you may be somebody who is not very, very musical, but when you sing to children, your voice is comfort. Your voice is a lot of, it's just a matter of them hearing your sound to feel peaceful. But what I'd like to talk a little more about early childhood. Now, when a child is born, the first 1,000 days, in fact, The first year, what happens is every minute there are 700 neural connections happening in the brain. So every minute, that's what's happening within the brain. And for the first 1,000 days are the most important, because there are several areas a child's brain is getting activated. Now, what I'd like you to do, on your screen, you will find the little representation of a child's brain. If I can have my team put that up, thank you. There's a small little representation of different parts of a brain. So what we want to do is not get into a big biology class, but just so you understand how children, how their brains work. So you just get a very good idea of the different stages of a child's brain. Now, there are 4 cortices, which is, now this is just for information, it's a representation, all right? It's a AI generated brain, so not necessarily or accurate based on science, but this is just for representation. There are 4 cortices. Your sensory, which is basically touch, then you have your visual cortex, your auditory cortex, and your motor cortex. Now, these are just a matter of what happens is when they see there's light going through their eyes, when they hear there's something going through there's sound waves going through their ears, when they touch something, their sensory cortex is activated, and when they clap their hands and move, you have their motor cortices or a motor cortex that is activated. Now, there are 4 other areas that you will see as little babies if you start early by singing lullabies, by giving them a small nappy change. Every time there's a nappy change, if you do a little song, your children are going to really enjoy that moment. Now imagine you're holding their hands and clapping them. You're holding them and swaying to music. All of this, guess what's going to happen, parents? When you give your child these activities, you are activating all these cortices, number 1. And there are 4 other areas that are also getting activated, which is, one is the amygdala, which is one part of the brain which invokes a lot of emotion. There's the hippocampus, which is all for memory. Memory is, but there's language and there's so many other things that go in there. And there are 2 other parts of the brain, the cerebellum and the corpus callosum, that's all about coordination of the left and the right brain, and also the movement of the hands, limbs, the entire body. So every time you sing a song, every time you're moving with them, every time you give them a little bit of a game to play with an egg shaker, they're clapping their hands, they're moving, guess what's happening? It's like Diwali on the inside. Your child's brain just erupts with lighting up all around. There is a little, by Dr. Anita Collins has done this research of how their minds just spark up like fireworks. So the important thing that we need to do, the activities that we need to do, is first emotionally bond with your child and give them activities by just holding the hands and clapping, holding and swaying. You can also check out baby toddler classes. I'm sure there are a few available in your part of the world or wherever you are, where a little child along with a mother, so they feel really secure and not separated. They have different games, movement to songs in a group activity, that's something that you can try out. So this is for children from 0 to 12 months. But what happens when they are 2 to 3? Now, when they're 2 to 3, physically, they can jump, they can start clapping, their hands are moving. The word for that movement is called gross motor skills. That means the whole hand moves, the whole leg can move. But there's something that is very bad, like I said about the glass, right? You're not going to give them a glass in the hand because their fingers their butter fingers. They're going to drop it down and you will run to a child as soon as they pick up a porcelain mug, right? That's because fine motor skills are not developed yet. So what happens at 2? From a more, just go down a little bit please. From a social aspect, they are learning how to go ahead with their peers. They're learning how to not yet share because they're still self-absorbed. They don't really know much about the other children next to them. That's why you'll find a very sadistic adult coming and saying, "Hey, can I take this? I'm going to take your thing." And I'm sure you probably did that, or you may have one uncle who's always troubling your little toddler, right? Now we don't want to do that because they don't know what sharing is. So that's why they're more concerned about their own world. Now, what happens from a social perspective? They're getting frustrated, they're venting the frustration. You must have heard about the terrible twos, right? Now, this is the stage because emotionally and socially, they're evolving, their language area is also growing. So, cognitively, babies probably they just imitate. But 2 to 3 year olds, they are starting one step instructions. Follow me. Or they can imitate your voice. Huh? If you ask the baby will also try and do it, or rather your toddler will also try and do it. From an instrument point of view, they can just hold an egg shaker. They can hold an egg shaker and all they have to do is just move their hand. Or they can probably have a drum like what we have here. It just, the whole hand has to move. Just hitting the hand. And you don't need the fine motor skills to work. It's just the movement of the entire hand. But let me tell you something, parents. We want to teach our children, and you can start as early as possible. Now, we are right now in the 2 to 3, we are right now in toddlerhood. Now, from a focus of learning, we want to introduce them into music, but no school is going to take you because they're going to be like, no, they're too young, or rather they don't have the capabilities of teaching little toddlers. So if you're in a place without any music, these are the things I want to tell you what you can do with your child. However, I want to tell you at the early years, right, from 0 to 7, how do you teach your child the mother tongue? Now, many of us have complex languages in India, from Tamil, Kannada, Hindi, so many other languages. We never speak, we go on the board and we say, this is or some other language. We never do that. Here's what happens. We speak, our children listen, they imitate, they repeat, and in a very natural way, little children, toddlers, are learning complex languages. Now, how is that possible? Because it's a very innate and a natural way for them to learn. Now, there is no grammar, there is no, this is this matra, or all that, terrible things that I had to go through. It looked like noodles on the paper. We don't do all of those things. All we do is just speak, they listen, they imitate, they repeat, and before you know it, by the time they are 3, we have to say, can you please keep quiet? I don't want you to talk. Stop talking. I'm sure there are, instances that way, right? Why? Because they pick up language, they learn the nuances, they know how to manipulate you. Mama, I want this, or of course they know, and they know how to actually speak. Now, music also is a language. What we want to be a little cognizant and aware of is, can we introduce this beautiful language in a playful way? So, which brings me to the pedagogy. Now, many of you all might have heard this word, and understanding the social, emotional, the cognitive and the physical aspects of early childhood, we need to understand that these types of learning, or rather growing, requires a particular way of teaching. Now, that's called pedagogy. Now, pedagogy is a style of teaching. If you observe children, they don't like to study, they don't like repetition, they don't like, or rather, doing something very difficult. If they can't get it, they're very frustrated because they're emotionally not, they don't know how to regulate themselves. So what we want to do is, for 0 to 12, it's mostly a mother and the baby, or you go for baby classes. But when it comes to 2 to 3, there are play-based classes that you have to go. And why play-based? Children as young as 2 can start learning through a class, through a social environment. Of course, with an assistance with a play-based expert. Now, what I want you to do is just figure out the pedagogy aspect. Now, the pedagogy aspect is, what style of learning do you want your child to learn? Now, one of the worst things I want to do is have my child hate music, because the way you teach something, you start associating that with negativity or routine or mundaneness. But when it is through play, what happens? Little children, because the universal language is play, identify and connect with learning through ways which they are naturally inclined to. Here's the best part. When you introduce a playful way of a concept, like for example, I'm going to teach you high and low. Huh? Ah, really? I smelt my cake and it went, it was so nice. I went, So this way what happens? You are just using the cake or some sort of an example as a tool for you to teach them high and low. And through a playful way, you are able to teach them that concept. This is what happens when you are dealing with the pedagogy of play, where there's no explanation, there's just an experience that children happen, or rather happen to just experience that idea. Now what we want to do is, for early childhood and toddlerhood, we've gone through the physical limitations. They have just gross motor skills. They socially and emotionally are still dependent on their mama. As you know, the big tantrum that they will give you when they leave for a school, right? They're going to cry because there's a separation anxiety, because they socially don't know that they don't feel trust in the environment. Unless they trust the environment, that's when they're going to be absolutely scot-free of worrying about where mama or dada is. Pedagogically, how are they supposed to learn? The method of teaching? The method of teaching should be play. Why play? My personal opinion, because children don't like studying. And play is the universal language. You can teach complex concepts just by giving them free play or directive play with a proper context. They will enjoy and thrive with learning. Moving up, we finished early, or rather infancy. Then we finished, we did right now toddlers. Next is early childhood. Now in early childhood, if we can have that screen back again, please. In early childhood, there are social, physical, lot of things are improving. Can you go up a little bit, please? Thanks. In early childhood, suddenly what happens physically, there's a lot more coordination that children go through. They're able to slowly develop more, their fine motor skills start to develop a little more. And also what happens from a social and emotional stage, they're learning to wait, they're learning to be a leader, they're learning a little more regulation. But one of the worst things that they don't like is still to be confined into one place, because the worst thing that we can ask a child is to sit in one place, follow my instructions. So what happens, the physical, they are much better, their gross skills are getting better. But when it comes to a more social emotional learning, they're starting to make friends. This is my best friend, or I'm not going to be your friend. You'll find this from a social point of view. Now from a cognitive point of view, they can do 2 or 3 step instructions. And 2 and 3 steps instructions, let me tell you about what 2 or 3 step instructions means. Okay, follow me. Can you follow me and also sing la 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 la? And so what happens, they know 1 step and 2 steps. 3rd step, they probably still are not getting it because they're trying to process all this information. And what pedagogy should a 4 to a 7-year-old still learn? It still has to be with play, but what happens, the cognitive abilities are more developed, so they need a little more complex ideas. So babies and toddlers, they just need to know 2 or 3 simple concepts, which is a steady beat. A steady beat is basically when you hold your baby and you move with your baby, that's a steady beat. That's all a baby needs to know. They understand naturally that they are moving, and they embody this whole concept. And for the older kids, they can just do steady beat, they can do start and stop. They can do high and they can do low. Now what happens, when you're in early childhood, they can do a little more than steady beat. they can probably do steady beat, more a pattern. They start recognizing that there is more to music than just following them. They get to do things on their own. And what is the pedagogy that we can do for them? Same play, but a little more layered, where they can enjoy more complex ideas within their limits. Now, what would be the instruments that a 4 or rather a 4 to a 7-year-old, the big question is, what instrument does a 4 to a 5-year-old, what should they learn? Now, most of you might be thinking, let me start with piano, let me start with what do you call, guitar, or if you are more into Hindustani or Carnatic, you may want to do sitar or veena, or you may start with tabla classes, and it's possible for children to learn. But I would like to show you guys on the screen an X-ray picture of children. I want you to see on your screens right now, you're going to get a picture, an X-ray of children's fingers, actual hands, from the stage of a 3-year-old moving up to maybe a 6-year-old and then a 9-year-old. You will see that there is a complete difference in the digits. Now, these are fingers, right? Finger 1, finger 2. I mean, you have these little small things called digits, and there are gaps in between them. I think we're having a little problem. Yeah, we've got the. Have you got the hand there? On your screen, you should see that right now. Is it on that screen on YouTube? Check it out. Now, you guys can see it, right, parents? Now, if you look at your screen, you will find age 3, age 6, and age 10. Give me a thumbs up when it's done. Is it there? Now, you will find in between, you will find small little digits. The gaps between the first, second, and third, even the gaps here, you will see the difference in the gap. As they are moving from 3, 6, and 10, you will find massive differences in the gap. Now, if you take a little closer look, you will know why fine motor skills are a problem. Now, when 4 to 7, ideally they identify what a guitar is, they must be seeing a rock show, they might have gone to a particular place to enjoy music, and they've been fascinated with the drum, or they're fascinated with the violin, or you might be wanting to vicariously live through your child. You didn't get a chance to learn piano or guitar, and you say, no, my son has to learn. I've learned that you have to start music early. I heard this guy called Kevin said you start music early, so I'm putting them in a piano class. But I want you to realize something. The child cognitively may learn it, but what is happening is they are incapable of fine motor skills. I'm talking majority of children. There will always be an exceptional child who gets it very fast. We'll talk about that probably a little later or in another whole video altogether. But what I want you to realize, guys, is the digits in the fingers are too small for fine motor skills. So if you have to play a piano, imagine the first class goes like this. Hey, okay, sit down straight, lean your head forward, put your hand here. By the way, that's 3 instructions, okay? Then put your fingers like a ball, or you may have another cool way of doing it. And they say, look at that note, play that note. So here's what's happening. You have, first of all, multiple stepped instructions. Do this, do here, look at the screen. So that itself is very overwhelming for the child. And now, maybe they got it. It's very difficult, but let's say they got it. Now their fingers have to play what the brain understood. And it can be very, very overwhelming for a child who's about 4. I've had parents come up to me and say, hey, I want to enroll my son in piano, ABRSM, probably can do a little more lesser grade. And I'm sure he's interested, but the problem is they're going to find it very, very frustrating that they cannot play what the teacher is asking them to play. That's why you'll find most schools saying, sorry, they're not ready to learn. So my advice as a dad and as a teacher for 21 years is this: children from 0 to 6, 6 and 7 is when they are really ready, according to me. They are not ready to learn instruments because their fine motor skills are still developing. So instrumentation at that age is still going to be holistic. That means they're learning voice, they're learning singing, they're learning to play on drums, they're learning to play in an ensemble. An ensemble means a group of children playing a bunch of drums. And the way they should learn music is through play. Because let me give young, mostly it's young parents that are listening to this. Music is boiled down to just 3 ingredients, guys. It's time, sound, and feelings. And all of that needs to be taught from its fundamental aspects. For you to play a scale, you need to know time, and your your fine motor skills have to actually work. But what happens is when we jump the gun and we go too far ahead and put your child in a piano or a guitar class, it becomes very overwhelming for them to follow everything. That's why a play-based pedagogy for this age group also is recommended. A play-based pedagogy, let me give you a very good example. What is this play-based? Are we just going to let them in a room and just do whatever they want? I would say from a more technical, or rather a simple example, if you walk into a restaurant and you want to order a chicken tikka. Sorry vegetarians, this is just an idea of what protein is, all right. You get a meal of just protein, only protein, and it's a nice meal, you enjoy it, but you wouldn't call it holistic food, would you? Because it's only protein. But if you order a thali, a big fat Indian meal, you'll get carbs, you'll get your starters, you'll get a little bit of meat, you'll get a bit of dal, you'll get a bit of all these sabjis, you're going to get dessert, you're going to get a wholesome meal. So a play-based approach is exactly that. You learn a bit of rhythm, you learn a little bit of voice, you'll learn a little bit of improvisation, you'll be moving, you'll be doing many things and embodying music rather than just doing only chicken tikka, which is basically piano. You can do all of that, but it's very restricted to just one instrument. Whereas a play-based learning, a class where they incorporate play, the child will be jumping and moving, and it's a very carefully orchestrated class where children get to experience what it is to play together in a group, follow the teacher, and without them realizing, they start learning concepts in music. Steady beat, high-low, fast-slow, singing, melody, movement, playing different instruments, they just have happiness. So what's going to happen is from the stage of 0 all the way to 7, from 0 to 7, I have a quote that I would like to say. I'm paraphrasing here. Show me a child till he's 7 and I'll show you the man. It's a very old quote, and many centuries ago they said this. Now, show me a child till he's 7 and I'll show you the man. I wonder why they said that, because at this stage you can do so much with the child. One thing I would urge parents and teachers not to do is saying, no, this child is not very musical, or have an audition for a little choir saying, no, sorry, little Levi, I don't think you can sing. You can go do football. It's not what we want to do. Because from 0 to 7, even if you believe artists are born, we can make little children or rather hone their skill and build up their artistry. Here's another example I would like to give for parents. From 0 to 7, there are two thought processes that go. Are children born artists or are they made? Now, if you believe they are born artists, it's very difficult to train children who you believe can't learn. I believe as a teacher that children are just born as a blank slate. I also like to give you a nice little analogy. For those that are born in the 80s and 90s, you know what exactly I'm talking about. You know, you used to get these stereo, these little radio where you had the bass, the mid, and the high. I'm sure you probably know what I'm talking about. If you increase the bass starts becoming nice and thumpy. If you do the high, so you have this little grid, that equalizer, they used to call it, right? You can move it. I believe children are just the same. You can equalize, you can move this and that, you can balance it out beautifully. I also believe you should not say you can't do it, because it is an age from 0 to 7 to start trying. Let's try this out. Let's try that out. And they are still learning who they are. We don't want to say you can't do it. We want to say try it out. Whatever they do is right. So when we do lessons in Tala, in Tala Kids or in our classes with our schools, we say, hey, whatever you do in this context is perfectly right. How do you clap your hands? I clap my hands like this, or I clap my hands like that. It does not, there's no wrongs in these, in this scenario. So from 0 to 7 is a stage of discovery. It's a stage of learning. It's a stage where you can really, really understand who you are, because music does not start in front of a piano. It does not start in front of a tabla or a sitar. Music is a very internal thing. And if music is very internal, even the instructions given to children should be very internal. And how those instructions can be internal, say, how would you like to do it? I did it this way. Can you play it the way you want to? And the child has the freedom to express themselves the way they want to. That internalization of just listening to oneself, moving to be able to listen to your heartbeat, those are the more building blocks of music in little children, from all the way from 0 going up until 7. I would like to call it, from infancy to early childhood. These are the different stages. So what I want to just to recap quickly, guys, is children are divided into infancy, toddlerhood, early childhood, middle childhood, and teenage or adolescence. We're going to come to that right now. And they are growing in 4 different ways, which is social, emotional, cognitive, and physical. And because they're going in these 4 different ways, there are different milestones that they're going to achieve in like movement or in their physical bodies or their cognitive abilities. So instructions at early stages should be just 1 step, 2 steps, maximum 3 steps when they're about 6 or 7. What are the types of, what type of pedagogy, like the curriculums, you must have heard about Montessori and or IB, because they have a different approach. The approach that I recommend would be play. Why play? I've already said, because play is a natural way for a child to learn. Now, what instruments can they learn? Instruments that are tactile, instruments that will enable gross motor skills. Now, you will get a PDF and a download later where you will see what instruments are most appropriate, like egg shakers, a little desk bell. If you can get one of those desk bells, Joy, at the back, I'll show them what a desk bell is. You can get the drum that I showed you. Now, this is a drum. Even a baby can go ahead and do that. An egg shaker, I'm sure most of you know what an egg shaker is. Oh, this is a little bell that you can just hit, and even a little baby can try it out, because it's very, very simple for the child to follow and play. So this is your early stage. The focus is build a love for music. They need to be running to the music class and not away from the music class. That's very important for us to understand. We are not running to the music class, we are running, not away from the music class, you're running to the music class, all right? So that is our first stage of what you call infancy, toddlerhood, and early childhood. Now we're going to jump into middle childhood. Are we good? Okay, we're just going to go ahead. I'm doing my thing. Okay. So middle childhood. Now, assuming you have started your child's journey from infancy and have taken this route of play and introducing them into just one-step instructions. You're holding their, what do you call, your babies and swaying. You're instilling a very strong sense of rhythm. You're giving them a lot of, understanding of exploring themselves, being very, very expressive, being able to go ahead and, just experience music holistically, like that big fat thali I spoke about, right? That's basically what we recommend for this group, because children need to first know that they really love it, that they can do it. The freedom of expression in a play-based approach gives them the confidence that, yes, I can really go ahead and figure this out. So next what we're going to do is what happens when they move from children after about 6 or 7, what is the next step? All right, we're just going to get the slide ready. Give me one moment. I am going to go ahead and, in case you have some questions, please make a note of it. I'm going to go ahead and address those questions at the end. I'm just going to, 2 more sections, maximum 15-20 minutes more, and then I'll take your questions, guys. Middle childhood. Now, middle childhood, same thing, socially, emotionally, physically, and cognitively, there's a lot of growth happening. I have my daughter asking me how plastic is made, where do you get diamonds from. Cognitively, they have much more analytical skills. They are critically thinking, but what about this? What about that? Physically, what's happened, they have already discovered that they can move their fingers in a particular way. Their fine motor skills have started to develop. When it comes to their emotional state of being, they enjoy teamwork. That's another big thing that happens from a social emotional way. And physically, like I just said, there's a lot of coordination that happens. Now, what's going to happen, because they are cognitively a little more mature, they can actually sit down in one place and they can say, I am ready to learn. Tell me, because their concentration increases. They are able to focus on more longer periods. So at this stage would be the best stage to recommend instrument learning. Now, we spoke about physically, their fine motor skills are better. Socially and emotionally, they're able to express themselves a little better. If they're angry, I'm sure thoughtful parents have told them how to stay quiet, calm down. So there's a lot of emotional regulation that is happening, and socially, great bonding that's happening, and cognitively, they can listen to multiple steps of instructions. Now, what will happen if you do this in the proper way? At the early stage of education, imagine I told you, okay, walk down the road, take the second left and the third right, and then there's a yellow house, open the door. You can't do that. Learning an instrument at that stage is like that. But at middle childhood, what happens is, because of the cognitive abilities, a child can grasp more concepts. Now, at early childhood, it is a precursor to formal education. Early childhood is precursors, or it's a precursor to formal education. Now, from 7, 8, 9, or 10, you have, from 7 to 10, you have, I call this semi-formal. Now, if you also notice, guys, I am not saying Western is the right way, Carnatic is the right way, please don't do Hindustani. I am not advocating for any particular form of music. I am very insistent on the right way of teaching and approaching education, or rather exposing your children to music. So just as a footnote there, all right. Now what we're going to do, when it's semi-formal, assuming you've started from babies all the way to 7, your child already knows steady beat, they've embodied the concept, they've already know all these complex music terminologies, like for example, a 16th note, they will probably know it as watermelon, watermelon. They know apple, or they know ta, ta, titty, titty, ta, ta. All these different concepts in play that they have picked up. Now, suddenly, that seed is going to sprout, and when you put some semi-formal concepts like a little note and say, hey, this is called a quarter note. They're like, hey, I think we did this, and then this is basically grape. Oh, I know this. And then what is this? Oh, that's apple. Apple. So they will hit the ground running rather than start from scratch. So what happens is, if assume a child didn't go through 0 to 7 learning play based or any music at all, and the first class, usually I'm talking more traditional school, they're going to give you notation, they're going to bore you with theory, and it doesn't go well with the child. The child feels a bit more confused. They really want to play. But if your child is already exposed, they have a great sense of rhythm, they have good vocal abilities, and even if they were not so musical, they've picked up because they're learning in a group. And now at this stage, most of us in India, we are very obsessed with certificates. This is the legacy that the British left us with. Yeah, they want to do ABRSM, they want to do Trinity. Now, please make no mistake about this. I'm not against ABRSM, Trinity, or Carnatic, but there is an obsession about doing it this way. Why? Because it's a very structured course. But my suggestion is this: in middle age, from 7 to 10, I call it the exploratory stage. A child has to explore. They built a solid foundation in the early years. Now what you have to do is work on that. Now, the chances are that your child is going to love music already, and they're going to run to a music class. Now, we don't want to bore them or make it too rigid. We want to give them exploration. So an ideal instrument that you can always start, that I've already started my daughter with, is a ukulele. Now, this is just recommendations, guys. I'm not saying this is how you have to do it. You can also start with the piano, but the way it is introduced does not have to be a graded exam, because I hated studying growing up. I'm sure children don't like studying. I'm sure you guys can agree. Children don't like to study. But if you've introduced it through play, in the middle stages, you don't have to do graded exams. You have to give them the option of exploring piano, ukulele, maybe guitar may be a little difficult, because the concept is balance. Whether you ride a motorbike or a bicycle, if you can balance, you learn balance. Now, what would make more sense, learning a motorbike first or learning a bicycle? Right? It would be a bicycle, right? A bicycle is much more simple. So that means your ukulele will give you the skills to play guitar later. So the transition becomes very, very easy. And also the ukulele has a faster learning curve. Now, don't do courses is my recommendation. If you say, no, 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 you don't know, my daughter is the smartest. Every parent thinks their daughter is smartest. But what I would suggest, you know your child very well. My suggestion is semi-formal. They don't have to do grades. Start something as simple as ukulele or a piano class. Now, coming to the pedagogy, parents listen up, okay? Now, pedagogy is very important, and thank you for putting your video on, Vivek, so nice to see you. All right, now what will happen is there are different methods of teaching. Now, the pedagogy that you apply from 0 to 7, if you're a teacher and listening to me, or even a parent that you want to do a little research, the pedagogy for 0 to 7 that I strongly advocate is the ORF approach. The spelling for that is ORFF. You can take it, read it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's called the ORF approach. You also, at little later stages, early school going age for 5, 6, 7, it's called the Kodai method. Now, parents, you may not, this is all like too much jargon, I guess, but this is a very important thing that you need to know. The ORF and Kodai method are best suited for little children, because it's very, very child-centric. It helps the children move and freely, they explore singing in a very friendly way. Now, in middle childhood, let me recommend something very important. I spoke about pedagogy, right? Based on different child stages, I like to recommend parents to talk to your teachers and say, hey, do you do the Suzuki method? Now, Suzuki, we all know in India is a bike, right? But there's another fantastic educator many decades ago that introduced the Suzuki method. Now, the Suzuki method is a very fun, more intuitive way of a child exploring notation, learning how to play instruments with a very, very different approach. So parents, if you're listening, write this down. It'll all come to you in the notes, okay? If you go ahead and put your name in the registration in the caption below, we're going to send you all this in a PDF and the roadmap as to what all I'm talking about. It can be too much for a session, but at this stage, I recommend the Suzuki method. What are the instruments I recommended? Ukulele. You can start even violin if they like it, but here's a word of caution, what you should not fall into. I know parents, it's difficult on your pockets, okay? Because suddenly one month they want to learn drums, another month they want to learn guitar, another one they want to do violin. You can't do that. But if you have that privilege, from 7 to 10, let your child try it out. Hopefully you're putting them in a school that there is music. So they could try maybe guitar for a little while, for a year. They can move on to piano, because please mind you, they are not figuring out their musicality. Assuming they have done 7 years of their livelihood with music, they already have it in them. They are just finding what's my thing, what's my, what do I best identify with? Do I do piano better? Let them do it for 1 year. And there's no pressure of the course also. No, you have to finish. Of course, a goal or a program with a course, with a destination at the end gives you more, direction and an end result. But my suggestion is to go easy. Let them just enjoy the class. No pressure in learning. Let them have fun. So what happens? They try piano 1 year. They say, Dada, can I do guitar? No problem, try guitar. So next year they do guitar. Now, don't say, how much is that going to cost me? Now, that's your discretion to figure out, all right? This is just experimentation. By the time, what's going to happen, by the time they are 10, all that they learnt in early childhood will start coming and manifesting itself through an instrument now, or through their voice. Because there is a lot of development that has happened from their early stages and now middle childhood. Now, this way what's going to happen, this semi-formal learning is what we were recommending. Semi-formal learning is exploring, it's more complex music, it's more meaty stuff. At little toddlers and early childhood, you're giving them milk, you're giving them all much more basic things. At this stage, they are learning complex rhythms, they're learning notation, they're learning harmonization, and they cognitively can understand these concepts. But before that, you don't do all of that because it's too complex for a child. They just need to do something very, very simple and fall in love with music. Now, this is our middle childhood. I hope it's clear. In middle childhood, there's social learning. They can understand and work with groups. Cognitively, they have multi-step instructions. Physically, as if you remember that X-ray I showed you a little back, their digits are so close to each other that whatever they are thinking, they're able to practice a little better than how they were before. So there's no pressure. And also from an approach of pedagogy, what style should they learn? It does not have to be a traditional style. If you believe in it, please go for it. If you say my daughter or son can do it, good for you. My suggestion is take it light. If there's something, if your school that you are in your vicinity offers a Suzuki method or a much more simplified method, try that out. Don't force them into grades. And don't focus on just one instrument. If they want to do more than one, it's okay. We want to associate a happy association with music and your child. All right? Now, at this stage, you will have something called a problem called practice. Now, most of us as adults know what practice takes, all right? Now, The difficulty with children is they are not going to sit and practice. Now, I'm sure if you put your child in a class, you will know this very, very well. So, I have a very good example to tell your child, okay? If your child is not believing in practice, here's what you have to do. Tell them, hey, sweetie, I have a challenge for you. What's the challenge, mom? Because they love a challenge, right? And here's what you need to tell them. I want you to first tell me, how many minutes do you brush your teeth a day? Answer is 2 minutes approximately. So if I brush my teeth 2 minutes a day, 2 into 7, they'll do the math and they'll say 14 minutes in a week. So the challenge is this, okay? I want you to brush your teeth on Sunday for 14 minutes and not brush your teeth on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday. So I'll repeat that for those who, I'm sure you're laughing, but the idea is, hey guys, put your videos on, it'll be so nice to see, okay? I'll repeat this for those who missed it. Tell your child, if you brush your teeth for 2 minutes a day, the challenge is this, 2 into 7 is 14. So on Sunday, you brush your teeth for 14 minutes, and for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, don't brush your teeth. They're going to laugh at you, they're going to say chi or tu, because they understand if their mouth smells, they are not going to have friends. If their mouth smells, no one is going to go close to them, because it's logical, they get it. No, daddy, you have to brush your teeth every day. Then you say, same way, if you don't practice, your music also is going to stink. They're like, oh, okay, I get it, okay. So, 3 simple tips, same time, same place. So, it becomes a habit every day 5 o'clock. Less is more. Just do 15 minutes of practice, and all you have to do is choose one goal. One goal for a week. For example, I'm going to play C scale. That's about it. Maybe if it's too boring, make it 2 goals. That's it. I'll do this, I'll do that, and then you feel very overwhelmed. So 3 simple points. Same place, same time. Make it a habit. Give the 7-day challenge. Are you ready for a 7-day challenge? Say, yeah. They're ready to brush their teeth every day, right? So they're going to practice every day. Same time, same place. Second would be, less is more. Just 1 or 2 goals, not more than 10 to 15 minutes. Try that out. And if they do 7 days, give them a little reward. They'll feel so awesome. But guess what's going to happen? By the end of 7 days, they are going to discover, oh my goodness, I didn't do it that time, but now I can do it. Oh wow, they will realize that the effort they've put into the practice is giving results. And parents do it once or twice, and then you have to just sit back. Then you can say, hey, remember that time, last time you were supposed to perform on stage and you put in your hard work? Oh yeah, right? So they go into the recollection. So that really helps a child understand the value of practice. But no grades is what I recommend. I will not do this for my children as well. I suggest that you take it easy and slow. So if you finish middle childhood, then, oh Lord, comes the next stage. The stage, I guess each stage has its own challenges, but here come the teens or the pre-teens, adolescents. Pre-teens, or for the lack of my spelling, I'm just going to scribble, okay, adolescents. Okay. Now, what happens in pre-teens and adolescents? Now, assuming your child from a baby has gone through this journey, they have embodied music. They understand music in a way that no other child does. Because remember I said every minute in the first year of birth there are 700 neural connections. Now imagine the lullabies, the movements, the playful, games and activities, the play-based way, the happiness. They have a positive, amazing experience, and it's ingrained in the system. Now let me tell you about this. I picked up music when I was 18. Very, 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 very late. The same time I picked up music, my cousin Benji, he picked up music as well. That guy was 5. I must have been 17, 18. Now here's the difference, guys. I'm a decent performer. I can hold, my mouth does all the talking that my talent sometimes may not do, all right? But I can play pretty well and I'll pull off a show. But Benji is another level altogether. Do you know why? Because from a child, this guy has been doing mock playing and real playing, and he has got a very, very innate sense already, but he's been exposed to it in the golden window. Intentionally for sure, many of us are wanted to do it intentionally, because what's going to happen by the time they come to teens and adolescence, they have a solid foundation. And you need to build on that now. Assuming you've done play, then you've also introduced music in a very, very, don't worry, beta, go for it, explore, enjoy this, do that. They have freely expressed, no pressure for exams. They've learned piano, they've learned guitar, they've learned to sing on stage. They have a lot of self-confidence. So what happens here, when they are 13, they are completely mature to start playing more semi-pro version, or more formal education starts, according to me. Because here's what I believe. In their middle childhood, they're still identity forming. They know multi-step instructions. They can do a little more than instruments, 1 or 2 instruments. But what's going to happen now at teens? Finesse, accuracy. There's more artistic confidence. I know I can do that because I know so many pieces. I have so many hours on days and months of on-stage performances, and I believe that I can do it. And there's this confidence that they can do it, right? Then there's analytical skills. There's expressive interpretation. No, I think this piece is it's Mozart, and this is classical, and that's, they know genres, they know various things. And at this stage, you want to say, okay, we have been investing in your music class for so long. You've picked up the skills. You've already performed on stage. What do you want to do? Dad, I want to do. They already be straight away. They can start grade 5. Now ABRSM. Now your Trinity School of London. Now you can say, okay, what do you want to do? Now you can happily go to the the music shop and say, let's buy a piano worth 1.5 lakhs, because you know it is really worth. The child has been invested for so long, and he or she is not going to quit on it. That comes the investment, where you can really say, I'm going to put down so much. Then go for a really good course, because irrespective of the teacher being a great teacher or a horrible teacher, does not matter. Because your child loves music, they're going to go straight to it and say, I got it, let me do it. That's when you build proficiency. They'll be literate in music, as well as they will start being amazing with their ears. And from a more confidence perspective, you have a very holistic child. So, to sum it up, here's what your new reality would be. If you go through this journey of raising children musically from toddlerhood, or rather from infancy all the way to teenagehood, music is no longer a subject. It's their natural language. So what I want you to remember, parents, is this. If you treat it like a subject, it's going to become very, very mundane, boring, yet another repetitive class. It's going to be just another class. What I want to encourage you is to make it a part of who they are, their identity. Music transformed my life. The whole point of me standing here and doing this is that many young parents, millennials, can, we are very informed, right? This year, anything is on the phone. But we need, in a world where there's so much of content, what you need is context. And I hope I'm giving you context. So from babies all the way to teens, what will that process be? How can we go through it? The focus is on building happiness and joy. Your child should be running towards it and not away from it. Now, this is something that I advocate. Now, if you want this in a roadmap, or you can, in the link in the YouTube channel, you can find a link. Just hit sign up. Just put your name and number. We won't spam you. We'll just send you that roadmap. So it knows from baby what you have to do in each stage. That way, it's very, very methodical. If you're a mom at home or a dad at home, you don't have Tala kids next to you, or you can't find any sensory. I have people from Belgaum and Kunnur and some remote place in India calling. there's a bunch of activities that I do with my own children. I can share it with you. Simple, no prep or low prep activities. We'll send it to you. Do it with your child. Experience the bond of taking them away from the TV and the screen, and you can try doing something simple with your child. Now, most of you are here because you like music. I'm sure there's one or two souls that are there because, okay, Kevin has started a channel, let me just go give him some moral support. But many of us are here because we know music is important, and there's something that happens to us when we become musicians and artists. Because what difference it is when there's no culture. Culture is because of our language, our music, and everything coming together. And how different are we from animals? We can express, music is an expression of who you are on the inside. And if a child can hone this skill, he or she doesn't have to be born an artist. If you instill it through play initially and move gradually and slowly, we can have a very, very immersive, fun learning experience and raise confident musical children. So I'd like to leave you with that. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and click on sign up. We'll send you a PDF of a roadmap. We'll also send you some activities that you can try with your children. For those joining online and already in our circle of the Tala and my acquaintances, we're going to send that out to you as well. It's about raising musical children. It's a journey that I'm taking. We want to really make a big difference in the whole of the country. In the next 10 to 20 years, there will be a big revolution. The NEP has brought music and art forward. Most of us millennial parents are very, very aware of what to do and how we are going to go about doing these things. But what I want to do is encourage you to start the right way so we can reach a destination where we want. Now, what I'd like you to do now, I'm going to go ahead and open this up for some question and answers. We can keep YouTube rolling. We're going to read out these questions out loud, and then I'm going to go ahead and try and answer most of them. I mean, I've pretty much done this for 21 years, so I should be able to answer some questions. If I'm not able to do it, we'll research and send you the right answer, right? So here's how it goes. So the first question, I'm going to have the first question read out.
As children grow older, especially during their teenage years, they already have a lot of academic pressure. Wouldn't enrolling them in graded music programs add extra stress?
Okay, for the benefit of those who can't hear on YouTube, I'm going to read this out. As children grow older, especially during their teenage years, they already have a lot of academic pressure. Wouldn't enrolling them in graded music programs add extra stress to be a distraction from their studies? Very good question, Andrea. First of all, thank you for asking that question. Now, assuming this is, of course, I don't have any context, but definitely when they're older, there's a lot of pressure to perform in academics. Now, I would believe if you start this way, music would be your de-stressor rather than an academic pressure. If you believe they don't need to do it, it's okay. I'm recommending it from this level of moving proficiently. They can do it. There is no harm that you have to try music in grades when they are teens. If it's going to cause them to be panicky or get anxious or distracted and take them away, then it's not for them. You don't have to do graded exams for teens. There's no compulsion. I would like us to treat it as an identity. The graded exams are more for direction. ABRSM and Trinity and our beautiful things, Carnatic and Hindustani they have levels. That's to build proficiency and more accuracy, if that is your route to make it, to become a professional, to make music as a bigger part of your life. But until the age of 10 or 12, you can even stop there because that will give you enough. You can at least play music as a hobby. You don't have to go down that road of grades until your son or daughter says, hey, that's actually my thing. I can't avoid that. I want to do it. Then you can go it. So there is no pressure for you to do that. But thank you for asking that question, Andrea. Not teachers, parents, if you have questions, if there's people on YouTube, you could go ahead and put your comments as well right now. We're very happy to ask more questions. Is there any other questions from our in-house audience? Can I have the whole screen up? So you can type it out, guys, and we'll we'll read it out right now. If you have questions about whatever we discussed so far, from early childhood, from infancy, babies, early childhood, middle childhood, and teenage, what do you do at each stage? I can give you our recommendation, and this can save you a lot of hassle. Like, this is a beautiful art form, and we feel it should not be made mundane. So, in the comment section before, if you put down your questions, we can go ahead and give you more details. Go ahead, parents. Waiting for the questions and the mins and the min. I'm worried that if my child gets too involved in music, it might affect their focus on schoolwork, which is also important. How do we manage the balance? Okay, I'll read that question one more time, all right? I'm worried if my child gets too involved in music, it might affect their focus on schoolwork, which is also very important. How do we manage the balance? Now, please don't misunderstand me if I'm going to be a little too harsh, or everybody has a different perspective. I believe music also is equally important than school, but there again, it depends on the program that you've enrolled him. Maybe it's the pressure that they have to perform in a particular, academically well. Nobody's pressurizing you. I think try it out. The best way to do it. I know you're worried that he may not do academically well, but trust me, music builds character. Music builds confidence like no other. You may be academically successful, but I think the confidence that you get in music, I can stand here, I can stand between thousands of people, and I am an academic failure. I'm the best example of what an academic system churns out, failures. But I'm a failure only in that system. But in the system of the world, hey man, I think I'm thriving. I think I'm doing really well because I can attribute it to many reasons. One of them very mainly is music, because what happens in the brain is, okay, just so you know, all right, parents, those who do structured music learning, their IQ point is 6 times higher than those that don't do music. I hope that gives you a little perspective. Artists can connect emotionally, socially very well with people. Artists are much more successful in running businesses because they understand the pulse of the audience. So Andrea Smith, I don't know who you are, but like I said, I hope you don't mind me saying this. The whole point of schoolwork is to build success in life. Now, how you determine success is completely left up to you, and I don't have any judgments. Academic learning is very important, but however, success in life, there are many areas of success. I think music builds this huge confidence, and I have that, and I've seen a lot of my kids have that are academic failures, but do go on to run successful businesses. So I would say trial and error. If it's really, bringing him down or your child down, and they're not focusing on school and they're not focusing on music as well, then it's no point. My suggestion is change the frame that you're in and probably go to a school that doesn't focus too much on academics, because the world is changing, my friends, and academic success is no longer equal to life success. And whether it's business or doing something in life, I think the arts adds value, and it makes us who we are as people. All right. So I hope that answers your question, Andrea. Thank you so much for asking these questions. I think we have another one. Is there a marked difference between a child who has gone through musical grades and one who is not, but still musically inclined? Very good question by Janine. I'm going to repeat this question again. Is there a marked difference? Is there a stark difference between a child who has done music grades and a child who plays by ear? There again, it's hypothetical because I don't know the specifics, but I think I know what you're talking about. A child who goes through playing by ear and do graded music is going to be phenomenally way skilled. I won't say better, way skilled. A person who just learns by ear may be skilled, but they have limitations in interpreting pieces, writing music, or being a little more technical, because if you know the literate part of music, then you start doing more complex things. It's like me, I can speak Hindi and Tamil and Kannada, but I have limitations. If I could read a little more, then I could read amazing literature by the amazing Tamil, Hindi, Kannada poets or writers, but I'm not able to get that. Of course, now with AI, I'm sure you have another argument, but coming back to music, you can't really AI this. For you to know, read, sing, and play, you need to be literate. So the answer is you need to go for your child to try and do both. For those parents that know your child is musical, you've invested well, the idea is to be a literate as well as a ear musician. That would serve you way, 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 way better. Because let's not be restricted only to our ears. Or the worst is the other situation, guys, where we have people who are only book musicians. They'll be playing, looking at the piece, and you take away the piece, and they are like a bat flying in the day because they have no clue what to do next. They may play from memory, but there's no extra improvisation. But let me add this to you, Janine. If a child goes through play and in a very fun way, they have a very innate ability of music. They will find love in music and the literate part because they know the importance of it rather than just it being a chore. So there is a stark difference. My suggestion is to go for somebody or train your child to play by ear naturally as well as play reading. If they have the capacity, they can go down that road. We got another question by Rohini. My son is only 2.5 but already is picking up complex songs. He's listening mostly while I teach music to my students. Being a Carnatic music teacher myself, honestly, I do not believe in structured teaching, and I make sure she is away during my class. Okay, I understand that. But still she is keen on listening to more and doing more. Right or wrong? We can take it up one-on-one. Of course, we can do it one-on-one later. So, in short, Rohini is a Carnatic teacher. Carnatic music is one of the oldest forms of music, millennia old, and it's rich and the most complex form of music. Now, if your child is picking it up, let them pick it up. Nobody is stopping anybody from learning. We don't want them to fall in the pitfall of losing out on childhood. There's play, there's fun, there's movement, there's playing with peers, because that means she musically, cognitively, she's picking up the ideas and is able to replicate. But remember, there is social learning, there's emotional learning, they need to share, they need to follow. So even if you have a child that is a prodigy, a child that is really doing very, very, very well, I suggest this approach, because I know another child, his name is Happy, amazingly picking up the drums. And my advice to anybody like that, the guy is playing proper drums, is let them have a fun one-on-one class with a teacher that understands them, but at the same time, let them not miss out on their childhood. They should still run, jump, laugh, play together. So my suggestion, if they are learning, picking up, let them do it, but they don't have to necessarily fall into the trap, because sometimes what happens, you'll see this, cognitively some children are way older, but physically they're not. Socially they're very better, but physically they're probably awesome better. So there are different things, there are different levels for each child. My suggestion, if you have a prodigy, a child is really, really awesome, let them do it separately, but they still need to do the play-based aspects. I hope that answers your question, Rohini, sorry. If there's any other questions, anything on YouTube, if there's anything at all I would like to know, my team can read it out. But I believe most of the questions are coming in-house. And I think if there's Vivek or anybody else or you want to have children, say, how do I do this? More than happy to answer you guys. So let me know, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. If not, I think we'll call it a wrap. It's been a pleasure talking to you all. One more minute. Any other questions? Shoot it in, guys. We have another one. Okay, I think it's pretty much it. Thank you for your time, parents who joined us in-house. And for those joining us, thank you for the love and support. I'm sure people are going to be watching this video later, and there may be many questions you might have. There's a lack of awareness in India. People are doing things on their own. Some take the wrong turn. Our whole intention is to make learning music fun and exciting. So our kids grow up to be really creative, confident young individuals, and they will make a big difference in India in the next 10 to 20 years. So that's our vision. We really want to share this. So if this brought value to you, and you say, hey, this is something interesting, I probably need to learn more, subscribe to this channel, because we're going to be putting out stuff very regularly. We've got another 14 concepts and topics put in place. We're going to be sending out more content your way. So if you're a young parent, anybody with young kids, and you want to know what's this journey in, there are many other questions you might have later. Very, very happy to cover. You'll have a lot more coming down this way. So thank you for following. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for showing up. You guys have a nice day, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you, guys. Parents, it's been really fun. Thank you for coming. We wanted to do this for a long, long time.